Okay. Hey, howdy. How is everyone? Hopefully, pretty good today. It is a nice Thursday night for me. March 23rd, 2023, as you may know. And yeah, let's get straight into it. Haven't done a podcast episode in like almost a month now. Um, and yeah, very, very sorry about that. I've been caught up doing other things, such as ignoring my responsibilities, and yeah, it's great. Gotta love it. But you know, I was thinking about like what today's topic would be, because I was thinking about doing hopefulism versus realism, but I was like, no, I'm gonna save that for the final episode, the big bang, the one I can like really like, the one I'm really passionate about. And instead, I'm just gonna, you know, I was gonna. That's what I was gonna do, but crap. Sorry, the zombie over here is scaring me a little. But back to the topic at hand. What's up, man? So as you know, I'm also on live on Twitch, and as a little heads up for everyone that's reading chat or in chat, I'm not gonna be reading it a whole lot, as the whole point of this podcast episode is to mainly do the podcast. And it's only on Twitch, so you have some entertainment if you wanted it. But today's thing is, no, I don't know. Well, I just but today's episode, I finally, I kind of thought about it on the spot just now when I was looking at my book, a book I was reading. And I was like, the human connection in general, something that I don't think a lot of people will talk about a whole lot nowadays, and I haven't really seen anyone else really talk about it. Like, obviously, it's people mention it, but I personally haven't heard anyone really talk about it. And so, your PC overheating. I know it's overheating. Calm down. Where are we getting these discussions? Where are we getting the discussions? From my mind. Anyways, human connection, right? We all know, I don't know if people really realize how important that is. Obviously everyone knows, humans are social creatures. We like to talk and stuff like that. And obviously there are more that are more social than others. We all know this. Like, I call myself a pretty introverted guy. Yeah, sure, I say a lot of nonsense online. I mess with my friends all the time, and I may appear to be eccentric and like loud and energetic, but in real life, like, I would love to just stay inside all day and just watch a movie and like completely just you know but that wouldn't be good for me in the long run, because as a society we need human interaction. But the problem with human interaction is we need good interaction, not this bullcrap we're doing nowadays. You say one thing, you have a whole mob after you. You say another thing, another mob is after you. You can't win. We cannot have this crap anymore. Like what happened to the days where you could just have a civil conversation, learn from it, move on, and repeat. Learning from people. That's the whole point of having human connection. It enlightens you. It lets you have more opinions. It lets you learn more from other people. And if they're wrong, you correct them. They learn from it. Then they use that in their next conversation with another person. But nowadays, you can't have that. What do you have now? Oh, here, this is why you're wrong. You know what? Screw you too. You know what? This and that. This is why you're wrong. And they still get all heated and stuff like that. And then they both lose. Like, no one wins anything. One person just gets heated, loses their temper, and the other person just is like, okay, well, I gained nothing from this debate. I gained nothing from this conversation piece. You wasted my time. I wasted your time. And so we both end up losing valuable time that we could have done doing anything else with our life. But no, we can't have that apparently nowadays. Yes, bro. Like, you want to talk to anyone else, or are you just going to talk about yourself? Stephen preaching. It's by myself. After the 5th episode, if people want to hop on, then I will do that. But for the first 5 episodes, it's just going to be me talking about discussions, topics I choose, and then depending on how people receive it. If people like it, and if people send me things to talk about, like let's say for example you're like, hey, could you talk about like this or whatnot? I'd be like, oh, of course, yeah, sure. Then I'll dedicate an episode to it, and it'll keep going until no one gives me an answer anymore, and that's when it'll stop. So it only stops when the people want it to stop. I'll hop on next time. Well, this is episode 3, so so there's still 2 more episodes, and then on the 6th one, you can hop on, my boy. I'll reserve that spot for you, and hopefully I can stick with my promise of doing this every week. I almost didn't do it today because I was like, do I really want to? But I was like, no, this is important. Like this has to be said, you know. So back to the thing, human connection. You know, not only do we need to fix what it is nowadays, because nowadays it's just a complete load of horse crap. Like it's horrible. It's tragic of what it's become, like what we've become. Like we can't say anything, and obviously this is not all like everyone. There are still conversations happening, but no one hears about them anymore. You know, it's really rare to see stuff like that nowadays, which is really depressing. You know, like what happened to us? Like the nation that was like full of like optimism, full of vision for the future, vision for like we put a man on the moon, fam. I don't care if you say it's a conspiracy theory or whatnot. I think we actually did it because we did a whole bunch of crap. But nice. Like what happened? And now we're just, you know, like how we are now. We're just like we're arguing whether the Earth's flat or not. And obviously, you know, some people are joking, but there are some weirdos that actually believe that. And you know, as a joke, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, of course it's flat." Like who doesn't think, you know? But you know, as a joke. But there are some real die-hard people. Honestly, even if I was talking with you, it wouldn't be much interesting discussion because I completely agree. Exactly. You know, someone who would be like, you know, Nick actually would be a pretty good guest as like, you know, when we're talking about religion for a while and stuff like that. I feel like we had some pretty actually like opposing opinions there, and actually be interesting to see how we would interact for, you know, half an hour. And since there's like a limited amount of time, we could gather our thoughts. We'd be both ready for points that the other side may bring up and stuff. But at the same time, it's also good to have someone that agrees so they can bring up other points that even just backs it up even more, which, you know, that I'm not even thought of. But yeah, exactly. But you know, I'll have to make sure that I don't go past my time limit, which I don't think I will, but can never be too safe. But you know, because that's the beauty of this thing, half an hour, which is I think it's beautiful that way, because you know, it's like, I don't know, because personally I find it really hard to listen to like a 2-hour thing. That's because like my car rides aren't that long. The big longest car ride I'll ever have is probably like, you know, in like on a normal day it's probably like 15 minutes max. So I don't really get much from that, like from like a 2-hour like episode. And like I don't really like when I have background stuff on, it's always music because I can't really understand, like I don't process the words properly. But anyways, back to the topic. Sheep. Human connection. Obviously, it's all gone to crap. You know, can't have normal conversations nowadays. And that needs to obviously change. And now you're probably wondering, well, how does that happen, Steven? You're discussing the problem here, but what's your solution here? Like, what do you think society should do to fix this problem? First of all, we all need to accept that we're different people. We need to accept that there are different opinions. We need to accept that not everyone's the same and not everyone will agree. Once that's accepted, that's the hardest part. The hardest part is accepting that people will have different opinions and that some people just may never change their minds and they will be the weird ones. All right, because that's how it is. If you ever encounter someone that is so stricken with their opinion, even when faced with hard facts, hard truth, disproving them entirely, that's been backed like countless piece of evidence, don't waste your time. Just end it there. Just say, all right, it's been a great talk. Boom, move on with your day. Just a heads up. Like, I'm letting you know right now, because you're gonna find them, you're gonna encounter them, you're gonna at least encounter. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna encounter 2 of them in your entire life. I'll tell you that right now. And that's just how it is. You're probably wondering why too. I don't know. I just made up that in my head, but it just sounds good. That you'll encounter at least 2 people, 2 very close-minded people in your entire life, which I think is pretty valid. So once everyone agrees that there are differences in people, you agree that some people will agree with some things and others will not agree. Cool. Let's say you accepted that. Let's say society accepted that, which would be very hard. Then from there, everything kind of just starts to balance itself out. People will start, getting along more. Like, they'll be like, all right, yeah, you have a different opinion than I do, but you're still a human being. You're still my neighbor. You still have a family. You have kids. You have a wife. You have a husband. You have, you love someone. You have dreams. You have goals in life. You're like me. Because that's what it is. If you don't see the other side as another human being, you're not going to get anywhere with that. You can't see them as some monster that's out to get you, because they're not. They're just there to learn, just like you are. They think they're right and you think you're right. And you may both be partially right, but you'll never know if you're both so close-minded that you're just butting heads nonstop, not waiting to let one speak their truth. You listen, really listen to it. Digest it, reflect on it. Boom, they say their piece. And it's up to this person then, whenever they start speaking, to not interrupt, to listen to their entire piece. They were given the same respect, they need to reciprocate that. And then they speak, they take it, digest it, reflect on it as well. And they come together again and then present new arguments for new things. Same thing, but reciprocating that, it all just starts with you just showing respect for the other person. And while you may encounter a lot of people that will not do that. Now, while I'm saying this, show respect to the other side, listening to them, don't get stomped on. And that's the thing. You have to balance it out. Listen, but don't get stomped out. Because there are some people that are not going to let up. They're going to keep you have to somehow, that's the hard part, wedging yourself in there at some point. Can you do relationships at some point? Would be cool. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. I barely touched on that on episode 2, which was the power of love. But I kind of did just mainly my personal experience. I didn't really go into depth with it as a whole in general. I just thought power of love and how my love life's been. But I feel like when I go broad in general, people seem to enjoy that more, which makes more sense, It would be, but I just wasn't clearly thinking, I was just trying to tell some funny stories and how it's gone with my life, and then kind of bringing my experience to tell other people what maybe some advice. Yeah, exactly. Makes it there's a bigger chance of it hitting close to home with someone else, which is what I'm doing with this episode, which probably made the first episode a lot better as well. Because the first episode, people really loved that episode, on my YouTube channel. It was whoa, phenomenal. And I'm pleased to say that we've actually been doing a good chunk of it. We're not even halfway, which is really good time for me, because usually what happens is I get sidetracked and I start going on to all these tangents. But the beauty of this thing is that there's one topic, and that's what we're doing, that one topic. It's not a Twitch stream. Well, it is, but it's not at the same time. That's the main focus, and that's all I focus on for just half an hour. Just boom, that's what we focus on, us together. And that's why I stream it too, because sometimes someone in chat brings up a good point, or and then I can address it live in thing instead of later on having a comment on it and then me just like, I don't know, having to tweet about it, like, oh yeah, let me add this to that, like, just like, no, I can do it live on the spot, correct myself or something like that, which is what makes it even better. Which, yeah. But anyways, yeah, exactly. So it's not because I'm trying to be cold or whatever, where I have like notifications muted on the stream and like, stuff like that. It's because it's for the podcast. Yeah, keep popping up. So far, so good. Okay, so once you have the acceptance of others, then you have the introduction of good conversations. And once you have good conversations, society begins to progress. It all starts from there. And then, like I said, back to the conversations, though, of showing respect to the other person. Not everyone has common sense. Not everyone has virtues. You may be the greatest person ever, and you may be showing the utmost respect using sir, ma'am, whatever. And, like, they just do not care. All they see is just someone out to get them, which is not the case. You're just trying to be there to learn from them, and you want them to hear your piece. And sometimes they just will not. They will not let up. And when it comes to times like those, it's times like those where you need to kind of like, all right, kind of just wedge yourself in there and then say, hey, because the last thing you want to do is get stomped on, because you get stomped on, that gives them more power. And they're like, okay, I can do this to more people. You're kind of enabling that behavior. So then they'll do it to more people, which will just undo all the work that's been being done before. Now, let's say everyone showed respect, and then they would become a small minority, and eventually they would fizzle out. Or they may just exist, but it'd be very, very minimal, very small portion of the population. But assuming what most likely would happen, not everyone would show respect to the opposing side, and then you have a major contender, you put a halt to that to help fizzle them out, to help, because once you start having good conversations, people start to learn. People start to actually develop their brains and start like thinking more objectively. Like, all right, cool. When they watch the news, all right, is that actually true? Because instead of people just like taking it all in, because that's all it is. That's the foundation for everything. And that's why conversations exist. Imagine you took everything at face value. Let's say right now I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna like declare war on someone, right? And you're like, oh my god, what? A little, crazy example, but you get what I'm trying to say here. Like, if you took everything at face value, just like the news, a lot of people take that at face value when they really shouldn't. They really should not, but they do. Why? Because they think it's trustworthy. And now there are some trustworthy news stations, and there are some that are not so good, where they've been caught spreading false information or accidentally giving false information, and it's a rare situation where they redact it or change it. But yeah, exactly, most people don't have common sense, which is why I'm saying you do have to halt them in their steps when they try to overpower your voice, because you don't want that. You gotta let them know that that's not going to happen, chief. Because if you let that happen, then it's all game over with you and with everything else. Because you're kind of like the first line of defense here. Like, if you don't, like, with anyone, because like you don't know if like that's the first, like, what if you're the first person they're trying to do it to, and by you letting them win, like, that situation of them trying to overpower you, like, what if you just allowed them to continue that behavior somewhere else with someone else? Then there'd be no one else to blame but you, because you let them win that. And then they'll go around saying, I can do the same thing to anyone else. It happened to him. I worked on this person, so I guess I can do it to everyone, which is not the case at all. But, So, after that, you halt them, right? So it doesn't spread. They fizzle out. Society continues to progress as they begin to develop common sense again, something that a lot of us have lost somehow, ironically and unironically. And then when that occurs, society just tends to be a lot better. People are more objective thinkers. They're more just creative thinkers as well. Um, as they won't just think everything at face value. They'll actually experiment. They'll think about things that wasn't usually thought about. You know, it would bring about a new age of enlightenment, a new age of thinking. You know, and whether that age would be beneficial or negative, we don't know because But given our previous history, most likely it would benefit us. And imagine a new wave of creative thinkers, like bringing about new change and progress for humanity. You know, like imagine we started encouraging thinking outside the box more in schools. Like instead of just all right, do this, this, and this. Like do these 10 pages. All right, cool, you did it. Maybe some cheated off, because they didn't feel like doing it. All right, cool, you did it. You got the grade, and you learned nothing. But let's say we encourage. They're like, hey, here's an assignment, and or here's a project. Like let's say like a personality project or whatnot. Like we did in psychology. They're like, the most creative one will get an extra bonus points. Because you're encouraging creative thinking. You're encouraging people to do that. Really incentivize it. Maybe candy plus an 100 quiz grade or something extra that would encourage them. Something that would just motivate students to think more clearly. And now I'm getting off topic. I know. I'm sorry. Honestly, grades shouldn't be a thing anymore. Yeah, and that's actually gonna be for next episode. The school system. I have a lot of passionate words for the school system. But back to human connection. Sorry. But that's what I'm saying. All of that leads to just progress. All just from conversation. Just by you and me having this not really dialogue, but technically it is, since we're both interacting. But by you watching this or whatever, you're thinking about it now, right? And then you'll have your own ideas. Maybe you agree with some of them. Maybe you're like, well, Steven, I don't know if that's really true, what about this and this? And I'll be like, that's a very good point. I did not think about that. And then I'll think about your response and I'll reflect on it, digest it. I'm like, hey man, you actually had a really good point. I want to talk more about it. And boom. We both grow our mental capacity. We both grow as human beings. Something that somehow just got lost in translation through the generations. Bro, we come from our American past. Past Americans went through World War II. They suffered. They went through the Great Depression. And they went through all of that. They fought hard for that. And now we're here getting insulted just because someone made jokes that offended us. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe I'm not catching something. But my phone goofy, so I might not be on the stream anymore. Out of nowhere. Nah, you're good, man. You're good, man. You're good. But maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm missing something here from the thing. But I really don't think I am. And I'm not gonna get into that because that's gonna be a whole another thing. Crap, I'm thinking of so many things I need to talk about. Well, mainly just humor, people getting offended for no reason, stuff like that. But anyways, back to this. But that just proves my point, how human connection just works. Just by having a good ecosystem of human interactions benefits society, the world even. Because it enables creative thinking, enables communion, and enables people to just actually like their neighbors and like people, no matter what they believe in. And whenever you do encounter someone that has maybe an opposing viewpoint, there'll be a mutual respect. Hey, you believe in that? I respect you for standing up for what you believe. But maybe you're wrong. Maybe Have you thought about it this way? No, I haven't actually. That's a really good point. Yeah, see? And then, but don't rub it in their faces either. 'Cause some people do that as well. They're like, well, actually, you sound like an idiot. You know? Well, actually, you're not making much sense. And now because you said that and wanted to sound smart, now you lost the person, and now you just created even more division between you and that person. Congrats. Well done. You're a class A act. Marvelous. Jeff Dunham show. It's great. He made everyone but her. I actually don't know who Jeff Dunham is. I may know him like if I saw his face, but I don't know who that is. That's my bad, Chief. It's my bad. But I don't know. I feel like in this particular situation, I'm speaking facts. And like I said, that's what I believe. And then someone else may come along saying, actually, this and that, and it just goes back to the original piece, that human connection. That's like what's integral. And like if we're all so divided that we won't talk to our neighbors, we won't help anyone, we're so individualistic, like it's good to like protect yourself and your family and like be like, it's good to be like be able to have solidarity, like not depend on people too much, like maybe just like a little bit, or just be able to help each other, like to be able to depend on yourself, but be able to come together with your fellow neighbors, your fellow Americans, to help out another American in need. It could be some guy down the street, just come together to help someone. And there's a lot of nice, heartwarming stories of that out there. It's really nice and great to see, And there's so many videos of those that like restore your faith in humanity, But there's also the flip side. There's also a whole bunch of horrible videos. Like, that's just how life is, And the thing about life is, there has to be balance, which is a whole another tangent I can go on, but I won't go into that as well. But human connection. That's what it's all about. You don't have that, you don't have anything. All you have is just who can be louder. That's all it is. And that's not fun for anyone. Not for my ears, not for yours, not for anyone. It's just how it is, And unfortunately, it may be like that for a while, but you can cause that change, You may not, there's a lot of people that say it, but you can do it too. You can do this by doing this. Like, you can help. Like, no, I'm being dead serious. Like, just by next time you're like maybe like in a little, maybe not even an argument, maybe just like talking about something, maybe it's just with your friends about discussing favorite movie, like that little tiny thing alone, you may not think, but like how you react in that situation, obviously it's with friends, so maybe y'all would joke around a little bit more with each other, maybe like, oh bro, that's so mid, bro, what, like what's wrong with you, or stuff like that. But it helps, because when you get into an actual, maybe like an actual argument, stuff like that, you know how to assess the situation, you know how to deal with it, because I've done this before. I've thought about this plenty of times. It's like, this is what I do. I'll listen to them, stuff like that. And then because sometimes people just want to feel like they're listened to. Maybe all their life they've just been ignored, and they feel like finally they have a voice. And sometimes they hang out with the wrong crew to finally feel heard. But you give them that position of just being heard, and they're like, thank you. And sometimes that's all they want. Which is why human connection is so important. That communion. Because if we're all so isolated with ourselves, always just obsessed with ourselves, that like narcissism, it leads to nowhere. Great, you'll have like really 10, great people that are isolated though, all in their respective fields, that just are great there, but that's it. That's all they go. They just go in that. But imagine them all coming together, working together. Much more progress is made. A single person can cause change, but it's the group that pushes it forward. Like, someone can introduce it, but it's up to actually convincing people and, bringing people together that really causes and spurs that change, that flame. But oh crap, it's 30 minutes. All right, but yeah, I'll start wrapping up now. Don't want to go too far off, but yeah, just yeah. Human connection, it's extremely important. Something that needs to be addressed a lot more. People just need to stop being so individualistic. They need to just actually accept opposing viewpoints. They need to accept that they're also Americans. It doesn't have to be American. I say Americans because I live in America, but they have to just accept that they're another human being, just like you are. They have feelings. They have emotions. They have thoughts. They have dreams. They have goals. They're just like you. They may have not gone through the same thing as you, but that doesn't mean that you are in a higher position than they are. You don't know what they've gone through. Even if you knew everything about them, and let's say they didn't go as much stuff through you do, that does not put you anywhere. Alright? Yeah, you may have that bad experience, but that doesn't give you a right to just overpower them with everything. Doesn't exclude you from being hit with facts. That's just how it is. Maybe a tragic thing that happened, and I'd be very sorry to hear anything tragic happening to any of you all, but that's how it is, and that's the problem. People cannot accept that, but we just need to accept each other once and for all. Be like, hey, you think that, I think this, but we're still going to be friends because I actually appreciate you as a human being. But yeah, anyways, that was it. Thank you very much for listening to my tangent, and yeah, let me end the stream before I go over my time. So thank you for watching. I'll catch you on next episode next Thursday. Peace.